Welcome to the module, Understanding How Students' Professional Skills and Capabilities Are Developed in Distance Education. We are Amparo Hormigos and Javier Gimenez, from University of Alicante. Let's begin with the second video of this module, entitled, Microcredentials, Enhancing Professional Skills for Employment. In this video we will talk about a topic that is becoming increasingly important in higher education and the job market. Microcredentials. Specifically, how microcredentials can help students acquire and demonstrate professional skills. Part 1. Microcredentials, Definition and Relevance. As educators, we have always had to respond to the demands of our time. And today, our time demands flexibility, relevance, and speed. The labor market is changing faster than many degree programs can adapt. Automation, digitalization, and global shifts are redefining the skills that workers need, not in 10 years, but right now. This creates a paradox. On the one hand, people need more education than ever. On the other, they often don't have the time or resources to commit to traditional long-term programs. They want to learn what's relevant, when it's relevant, in formats that fit their lives. This is especially true for the students in distance and online universities, learners who are often older, working, caring for families, or returning to education after a long pause. These students are focused, purposeful, and employment-driven. And they're asking, what can I learn that will help me get a job, or keep the one I have? This is where microcredentials come in. What's the urgency? Let's take a moment to reflect on just how much has changed in the past decade. Jobs are less secure. People switch careers more often, sometimes out of necessity. Technology is evolving fast. Skills like cloud computing, data analysis, and cybersecurity are now considered basic in many industries. Employers want proof. They want to know exactly what a candidate can do, not just what degree they hold. Learners want control. They want to build their education piece by piece, fitting it into their lives. All of this is reshaping the role of the university, not as a one-time provider of knowledge, but as a lifelong learning partner. Microcredentials are one way to fulfill that role. They are short, focused, skills-based, and stackable. They don't replace degrees, but they can complement them, precede them, or extend them. And they're gaining recognition across sectors, industries, and even national policy frameworks. What are university microcredentials? We could define them as a new educational model promoted by the European Union to foster inclusion and equal opportunities, as well as to facilitate access to education, training, and professional opportunities. These are digital certificates that recognize a new offering of highly specialized, short-term courses provided by the university. According to a Spanish royal decree, that is to say, a law, which establishes the organization of university education and the procedure for ensuring its quality, universities may offer their own educational programs of less than 15 ECTS credits, whether or not they require a prior university degree, in the form of microcredentials or micromodules, which certify learning outcomes linked to short-term training activities. They are targeted proposals that are eminently practical, with an active methodological approach, aimed at promoting employability, upskilling, or addressing the training needs of the current workforce, reskilling. Flexible, they are shorter than traditional degrees, making them easier to fit into personal and professional lives. Portable, many are issued as digital credentials that can be shared on platforms like LinkedIn, personal portfolios, or job applications. Stackable, often, they are designed to be combined with others, forming part of a learning pathway toward a larger credential or degree. In this table you can see a summary of the main differences between microcredentials and traditional degrees. The idea is not to replace degrees, but to complement them. Microcredentials provide agile, responsive learning options that traditional programs can't always match in speed or specialization. A mindset shift, from curriculum-centered to learner-centered. Microcredentials represent more than a new format, they reflect a shift in mindset. From discipline first to competency first. From degree as destination to skills as milestones. From rigid pathways to modular, customizable learning journeys. For universities, this means rethinking the question. Instead of, what do we want to teach, we ask, what do our learners need to be able to do, and how can we help them get there faster, better, and more accessibly? What a microcredential includes. Let's break it down. A well-designed microcredential typically includes 1. Learning outcomes, clearly stated, measurable, aligned to a skill or competency. 2. Learning experience, structured content, activities, and practice. 3. Assessment, evidence of learning, projects, simulations, quizzes, peer review. 4. Verification, identity confirmation, academic validation. 5. Credential, a badge, certificate, or document that is portable, secure, and shareable. 6. Metadata, information about what the credential certifies, the issuing institution, date, skills gained, and criteria met. It's that last point, metadata, that often makes microcredentials more transparent and meaningful to employers. They can see what the learner actually knows or can do. The role of the university. Microcredentials are not just administrative add-ons. They are educational experiences, designed, taught, and assessed by the university staff. This role includes defining the competency, designing meaningful assessments, ensuring academic quality, supporting learners through feedback and guidance, helping translate learning into language the labor market understands. So microcredentials are not about doing more, but about doing differently, rethinking how we package and validate what we already do well. Let's now look at why microcredentials matter not just in education, but in the broader context of the future of work. We are living in a time of technological disruption, where entire industries are being transformed by automation, artificial intelligence, data, and digital platforms. As educators, we often talk about this in theoretical terms, but it's happening fast, and it's happening everywhere. Consider this. 40% of workers globally will need to reskill or upskill in the next 3 to 5 years, according to the World Economic Forum. The half-life of a skill is now estimated to be less than 5 years, and even shorter in tech and digital fields. New job roles are emerging that didn't exist 5 years ago: AI ethics consultant, digital product manager, cloud architect, UX researcher, cybersecurity analyst. And the traditional university degree, while still important, is no longer enough on its own to prepare people for this reality. What are employers saying? Across industries, employers are asking for evidence of specific competencies. Degrees remain valuable, but they don't always communicate what tools a person can use, what problems they've solved, what projects they've completed, how well they collaborate, lead, or adapt. This is where microcredentials come in. They allow individuals to signal their capabilities in a transparent, skill-specific way. Some employers are now even prioritizing skills over degrees, especially in fast-changing sectors. Let me share an example. A company hiring for a data analyst role might receive 100 resumes with a bachelor's degree in economics. But if one candidate also has a microcredential in data visualization using Power BI, and another in Python for data analysis, those two stand out, not just for their education, but for their job-ready tools. What does this mean for universities? Universities are no longer the sole source of knowledge. Learners can access content for free almost anywhere. But what we offer is still deeply valuable. Curation of quality knowledge. Structured learning experiences. Assessment of learning. Recognition through credentialing. Academic rigor and credibility. Microcredentials allow us to package these elements differently, for a new generation of learners who need faster recognition, focused outcomes, flexible delivery, clear career relevance. Key alignment, education and employability. Here's something important to emphasize. Microcredentials don't reduce education to job training. That's a misconception. Rather, they bridge the gap between academic learning and practical, professional application. Think of them as short bridges between the university and the workplace. They allow students to explore interests, test new fields, build confidence, enter the workforce more quickly, continue building their learning one step at a time. Relevance for distance education. As distance educators, we're already equipped to lead in this space. We understand flexible pacing. We have the platforms. We reach diverse learners. We build modular content. Microcredentials are a natural extension of what we do best. But they also demand something new, a shift in how we design, assess, and align our learning with the outside world. And this shift, if done with care and quality, can elevate the role of the university in shaping not just knowledge, but opportunity. Now that we've established why microcredentials matter in the broader context of work, let's get more specific. What skills are employers actually looking for? How can we identify and teach these skills effectively through microcredentials? Part 2. From curriculum to competency. So how do we, as faculty, help learners build skills in digital and technical, cognitive or soft skills? Here's where microcredentials can play a transformative role. By breaking skills down into clear, accessible units. By designing applied learning tasks aligned to real-world contexts. By offering authentic assessment that simulates workplace challenges. Mapping skills to microcredentials. Here's a simple framework you can use as a faculty member. 1. Identify a real-world skill. What can the learner do after this learning experience? 2. Define learning outcomes. Be specific. Action verbs, measurable performance. 3. Design authentic tasks. Simulations, case studies, peer review, tool-based assignments. 4. Select assessment criteria. Rubrics that assess real application, not just knowledge recall. 5. Issue the credential. Include metadata, skill, level, evidence, issuing body, date. Skill signals, making competencies visible. Microcredentials are powerful not only because they teach skills, but because they signal them clearly to others. Employers. Clients. Colleagues. Professional networks. When designed well, a microcredential says, "This person can do X in Y context, and here's the proof." This changes the dynamic from, "I took a course on leadership," to, "I earned a credential for leading a virtual team to complete a project using collaborative tools." What skills should we prioritize? You may ask, with so many possible skills, where do we start? Start with skills in your own field that are essential but often underserved in the curriculum. Skills that employers ask for in job descriptions. Skills that are transferable across roles, for example, teamwork, digital tools. Skills that your students request, listen to their goals. Also, talk to industry partners, alumni, career services. Gather input, and co-create where possible. Part 3. Best practices in designing microcredentials. Now that we understand what microcredentials are, why they matter, and how to link them to employability skills, it's time to explore best practices in their design and implementation. Drawing on global examples and research, we will share principles and strategies that can help us create high-quality, impactful microcredentials. Start with clear, learner-centered outcomes. Define precise learning outcomes that describe what the learner will be able to do. Use action verbs, for example, analyze, create, demonstrate, manage. Ensure outcomes align with industry needs and academic standards. Make outcomes transparent so learners know exactly what they're achieving. Ensure alignment across curriculum, assessment, and credential. Design assessments that directly measure the stated outcomes. Use authentic assessment methods such as projects, simulations, portfolios, or presentations. Credentials should clearly document the skills demonstrated and criteria met. Avoid busy work or assessments that only test memorization. Embed flexibility and modularity. Microcredentials should be standalone but also stackable toward larger qualifications. Allow learners to choose pathways that suit their career goals. Consider different entry points and exit points. Provide options for learners to build on existing skills through recognition of prior learning, RPL. Leverage digital platforms for delivery and credentialing. Use platforms that support multimedia learning and interactive activities. Issue secure, verifiable digital badges or certificates that learners can share online. Integrate with learner management systems, LMS, for seamless experience. Utilize analytics to track learner progress and outcomes. Engage industry and stakeholders throughout. Co-design microcredentials with employers, industry experts, and alumni. Use advisory boards to keep content relevant and current. Include real-world projects or internships where possible. Build partnerships that can lead to job placements or recognition. Maintain academic rigor and quality assurance. Establish clear quality standards for content, delivery, assessment, and credentialing. Include peer review or external validation where appropriate. Train faculty and instructors in microcredential pedagogy and technology. Regularly review and update microcredentials to maintain relevance. Provide strong learner support. Offer clear guidance on navigating microcredential pathways. Provide academic advising, technical help, and career counseling. Facilitate community building and networking opportunities. Ensure accessibility for learners with diverse needs. Communicate value effectively. Clearly articulate the benefits and recognition of microcredentials to learners and employers. Use success stories and testimonials. Promote microcredentials through marketing and career services. Help learners understand how microcredentials fit into their career journeys. Microcredentials are more than a passing trend, they represent a strategic evolution in higher education. By focusing on short, skill-oriented, and flexible learning paths, they respond directly to the needs of today's learners and employers. Distance education institutions are uniquely positioned to lead this transformation, offering accessible and high-quality programs that support both upskilling for employability and reskilling for career shifts. However, the success of microcredentials depends on collaboration, especially with the business sector. Ongoing dialogue ensures that programs remain relevant, aligned with labor market demands, and capable of addressing real-world challenges. In shaping a more inclusive and adaptive educational system, microcredentials are helping to build a workforce that is ready for the complexities and opportunities of the 21st century. We hope that this information was useful for you. Thank you very much for your attention.